So, a sneak preview into the episode. The trick to having your kid fly well is to make them terribly sick. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a game about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 10-month-old.
My name's Jeff. I have some sort of virus, a 5-year-old and a now 3-year-old.
Yeah, we were delayed a number of days. So, did you get
Oh,
this illness from your kid?
yes. There's no question, yes.
Oh,
It doesn't matter where it came from. Yes, my oldest one had it, and then, of course, the hacking, coughing in your face. It's just a matter of time. So
the best part too, like
I
you're
apologize.
holding them up, like you're holding or playing with them, and they just cough
Oh,
into your
yeah.
mouth, and you're like,
You're
"Come on,
done.
like come
That's
on,
it.
I'm not going to
Can't
survive
really.
this. I don't have the strength to like overcome this now." Yeah.
No, and you start popping like vitamins, thinking it's going to help. It's like, oh, God, something's in me. I need to get it out.
And there's no
Doesn't happen.
repercussion either because it's just like, look, kid, like the worst factor is I can less take care of you because of how ill I am. But I have
No,
to. I'm going to. Like
no,
it's almost like they
it's
should like it's like you made me sick. You're on your own for 4 days. Like best
oh,
of
they
luck,
love it.
kid.
They love it. I just like I'm sorry, I had to put on Netflix here. Sit in front of the TV. I can't move.
That's amazing. So the
Brutal.
how is so you, from the last episode that is the same coach behind you
It is.
that you had on the previous episode. Am
It's
I to
true.
assume that your potty training events have gone, or train as your potty training has proceeded well?
It has. He's actually, well, for lack of a better word, he's pooped on the potty at school. So that's a big step.
Big one.
He's been
For
dry
a
most of the
little bit of
days.
context for new viewers, the Jeff was employing a cold turkey method to teach his kid how to go to the potty training. Literally
Like an
just
addiction, right? Like
yeah, literally
go for
Friday diapers, Saturday no diapers,
right.
and,
And it
and
worked
he
for like two
survived.
days, and then yeah, I survived, and then it went downhill. But now we're back up to where we need to be, so we're getting close. He's had here's and there's, but most of the day he's dry, and he can go to the bathroom, and he tells you, which is great. I can see the light. Hopefully,
What's like? How long does it usually take? Like, if you didn't do cold, you're on like week 3, and looks like you're almost
yeah.
through it. How long does it usually take for a kid when you're really applying it? Is it months?
It's gonna be different with every kid. Like I've seen some kids in his class that the parents have diapers on the Friday, they don't have any on Monday, and that kid's fine. Like they're walking around doing whatever. My kid, my oldest, took a couple months just to get everything down pat. But now, I don't know. After that, you're just so grateful to be without diapers. So it seems like forever when you're doing it, but yeah, no, it gets better. It'll take a couple months to get everything down, like nights too, where my oldest had some problems with that, but we got past it, and now everything's on to number two. We're just focusing on number two. I want to get out of diapers completely.
The beautiful future.
I know
The
it's
it's like yeah, it's got to be the one of the last big hang-ups because man, so
it
after they're
is.
sleeping on their own and the feeding is kind of normalized, like the thought that they would just
Yeah.
you don't have to change diapers anymore, like that. Wow, does that ever seem so
And
beautiful at this point?
with with the first one, we did cloth diapers, which is good in like protecting the environment. But then, holy, when they get little kid poops, that sucks. We moved over to disposable. Screw you, Earth. I don't care. I'm sorry.
No, so we do cloth diapers. Although
Good
that's
luck.
more. There's been great like the savings is wonderful. The environment part is great. The
Hmm.
one great thing we noticed is he's really not had any rashes or any issues down there the entire time, and that's going on
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
10, 11 months like that. It seems to handle it much better. But
Because you're
it's
probably
by
changing it more often, right? Like the other diaper just kind of collects.
he's getting bigger and bigger cartoon style.
It does.
No, but I think it's by the grace of my wife though that we do that because she's the one who washes them. So
Oh
like I'll
yes.
do my part in changing them and everything, but she's the one who's you know knee deep in
Oh God.
unmentionables. So, but so I'm curious if it was left to my own devices, if I would have the fortitude to see it
I
through.
don't
But
know.
I'll certainly vouch for the benefits of it. Numerous. The
Yeah.
So nice segue into from Kaka into video games. Just to jump us off of this, what did you play this week?
Well, as everyone can kind of tell, I'm kind of under the weather. So I downloaded Downwell on iPhone. I think we mentioned it last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool game, just to kind of sit on the couch and like be on a drug trip and do this little game on a little computer. So no, I've been playing that a little bit. I played co-op Tetris with my wife, which was a test of the relationship. Which is,
I was gonna say that you're still your current wife, or is there an
yeah.
announcement you'd like to make?
See, no, I let her win. No, I didn't say that. No, it's a pretty cool game. Um, uh, it's it's okay. Like it drags on, but at least that gets my wife into gaming, and then she actually played Towerfall with me too. So
Oh, that's
we're
amazing. That's a
we're
great
doing
game.
baby steps here. So it's a bright future for her too.
Yeah, Dark Souls, here she comes.
Yeah, right. But no, that's about it. Other than that, I've failed at my Divinity Original Sin. I was going to continue that. I couldn't take the lore of that with this head cold, so I had to stick into pretty simple games.
They become like real during your drug trips. They become just real, actual.
Yeah, like
It's not so
in
much
the
of a demon
game.
in game. Like, yeah, it's outside of the game now.
No, not gonna happen. But no, it's been a pretty chill week, I guess, for me. But how's your career going in Street Fighter?
Oh God. So I had God, I'm so bad at this game. Holy
Oh,
hell.
yeah, I'm hopeful.
So so the so, so I think like the I played a couple actually had a couple ranked matches before. And some of them were just like disgusting blowouts. But there's one that was like great. I think it was somebody who was roughly in my range, and I he won one, I won one, he won one. So I think
Nice.
he took the whole set. You could do like a if you decide you can do a or a best of three,
Yeah.
which is a fun mechanic anyways. But it felt great. Like you start to get that sense of like okay, like you can start to feel everything. And so I think currently my rank after that I got a rank, and I think
Yeah.
I'm like 323,000 like 425, something
Oh,
like
you're
sense
pretty
like that.
close.
So I'm in the 300,000s. So only it's only 300,000, 320,000 to go to be
Well, out of
considered
what?
respectable.
7 billion people, right? There's that many players.
I was listening to this podcast where, and at the time, it wasn't that far, and this is tracking somebody's journey through Street Fighter. So
Yeah.
I'm finding it terribly cathartic to like listen to someone else going through the same struggle I'm going through. But at the time of he was talking about, he's like in the 200,000s out of like 300,000 players. And it's not that long ago, so I get the feeling like
Uh,
I'm in the bottom 10%.
well,
Um, except for people who haven't been ranked yet, if I can count that. So see, his goal was to be in the top 10% of players,
whoa.
which see, but if the number keeps growing, that becomes a bit more reasonable because, like, again, with my ignorance in stating the top 100, which is like literally that's actually a career.
Yeah,
Like, no, that is a full time. If you're in the top 100, you could probably make enough to just do that for a living.
I can see that. Yeah.
So that's silly. But if something to the effect of top 1,000 or top in the top 10%, like that's kind of interesting. That feels a bit more within a scope of a dad player
Right.
and not somebody who's. But curious enough, like so now and I'll get into the story a bit later. But I'm coming to you from Colombia, in fact,
Woo.
birthplace of my wife. Incredible country if you ever get the chance. And so now I'm mobile, I'm traveling. And what I've done is I found a copy of Street Fighter Alpha 3. And this was back on the Dreamcast and also like a release for the PSP. So I'm
Oh
playing
yeah.
that to try to like, practice in my off time so I can kind of keep on moving. That decent parallel because it's really you're really getting your blocks in, you're figuring out the different move sets, spacing. There's some mechanics that don't translate, but a lot of like the special moves and things do, and a lot of the same characters. And I
So
tried a few of them, and I think of all like the old ports, 3 feels most akin to 5.
right.
So as far as just like a little bit offline training, so that's what I'm currently playing the most of. I'm getting terrible. I haven't beat it once. Like I haven't beat the arcade mode once yet. Like it's
Oh
I
god,
keep
you have a long way to go, don't you?
so far. I'm so I didn't not to like I'm not about to give up, but there's some part of me that assumes like
Right.
maybe it's not I don't have it in me. Like
I don't know.
I'm not gonna be an NBA player and I'm not gonna be very good at Street Fighter ever.
Aim high, Trevor. I mean, come on, aim
Yeah.
high.
Gotta shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm doing a lot of Street Fighter, uh, still continuing on that quest. Played a bit of mobile dots, like you spoke of mobile games. Sorry, two
Mhm.
dots. It's uncanny the number of levels that it has. Like I think there's something like 500 or 700 of
Oh,
the
geez.
levels. And as you're scrolling up, like if you could care less to play the game, like I swear, just as somebody who's interested in games, people should download it just to see the artwork
Yeah.
because the levels are presented in a vertical scroll and you keep going up.
Yeah.
But in its entirety, all the way up from 1 to 700 is custom animations and illustrations. So you're
Wow.
scrolling up and you're going through a cabin and then you're underwater and then you're in like an ice world and every time you're scrolling up like things are coming in through the side and as you win certain levels like there's pieces that get placed online it. Even if you're not necessarily into the game like that, like it's so impressive from a visual standpoint, like just the depth like of the artwork.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Like yeah, you would especially as a illustrator yourself, you would appreciate it just from that standpoint. And the game itself is very just mind numbing. You don't have to think about it very much. Like drag dots, so it's quite relaxing in that sense. So I poked around with that a whole bunch. That was great. So I think
Nice.
most of my gaming has been a mobile port of Street Fighter, trying to train,
Yeah.
keep whatever skills I have sharp, and then just mobile dots or two dots, I should say. And otherwise, just like looking to the future. And in so doing, the you mentioned that you downloaded off before we started the podcast. You
Yeah.
mentioned you downloaded the Doom beta.
Yeah, I did for PS4.
So
Have
I
you ever?
assume it's friendly for your kids, and you can have them play it.
Yeah, totally. There's no blood in it at all, or demons, or hell.
Actually,
Um,
before you get into this, like, isn't like, do you find like, would you actually not let your kids see this? Like, given that amount of blood is almost cartoonish, or is it still realistic
it's
enough to be traumatizing?
no, I think it's kind of cartoonish. Like it splashes of blood. Like if you ever think the other game would be Unreal Tournament or something, where it's kind of like there's no gibs, is what they used to call it, where it's like chunks of parts that kind of splatter all over the place. It's just it's almost more cartoony looking to me, or so surreal that I don't think they'd be able to process what's happening. If there's something like more defined, like Call of Duty, where it's like human people with guns and stuff, I think that would be way more traumatizing than something like Doom. So, but I still won't show my kids it. I don't like 5 years old is not the time to show them that. But have you ever played the old Doom, Quake stuff?
Have I ever played the old Doom and Quake?
Yeah. Were you
Yeah,
like I was totally into it.
yeah. I remember not so much like I played. I never finished Doom. I think mostly because I only ever had like the beta, where or like the demo disc, where eventually
Oh
after
yeah.
you make your way through the map and then you just get put into a room and you just instantly die.
Yeah, the
Like there's
shareware version
no
or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
shareware version. So I never had the full one. So,
Yeah.
so that was my whole experience with Doom. I didn't play the somewhat recent release, and then with Quake, I think anybody who's ever played games has like touched it a little bit. I never really got deep into it because even back then, I was never particularly into Twitch shooters. It was always
Yeah.
more RPGs, so it never
I
really held that appeal for me.
I love Quake 2. I was into Quake and Quake Arena, Quake 3 Arena was even fun. And Unreal Tournament was my jam for like ever. So when people were saying, oh, they're going to reboot Doom, and then Bethesda took it, I was like, well, that's odd because they're not known for first person shooters. And so with this beta now, granted a lot of this can change, but they have power ups and loadouts. They have a loadout for Doom. So if you haven't played Doom or Quake, where you go around the map and you can find a rocket launcher and then find the shotgun, and you have infinite number of guns that you can kind of carry because you find them throughout the level. Kind of creates that strategy to it. Now you're limited to 2 guns as you go into battle until you die, and then you can respawn with a different loadout. I'm like, you just made it like Call of Duty, and then you get little achievements
Yeah.
and like modifiers that you can apply. It's not what Doom is to me. Just seems like they took away my childhood a little bit. Just ripped it a little bit.
It's just like, yeah, it's kind of, like the one part you decide to be realistic about. So you're diving into the depths of hell to fight demons and floating
Yeah,
fire monsters, but you're only human, so you can carry 2 guns.
yeah, like
Gotta maintain that realism.
right. And it's just there's one power up that you can find in the map that turns you into a demon, which is basically unstoppable. So then it's like everyone's racing for that thing, and you got other people running around with the same guns if everyone chose the same loadout. So it's just
Hmm.
it's not as fun as what I remember Quake being, or Doom 3 even. So it
Yes.
kind of disappointed me a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Speaking of disappointment with the so with our limited playtime, as dads, like it's the breadth of games that are coming out. So there's Doom, and sounds like there's a decent push for multiplayer, but didn't seem like they quite hit it.
No.
Battleborn's going through another beta,
Okay.
which is like the thought of like learning. I don't know. See, in my view, so there's Battleborn and Overwatch.
Right.
In many ways coming out at the same time. Battleborn coming from the makers of Borderlands, and Overwatch coming from Blizzard, makers of Diablo and Hearthstone, my old jam. Still have not.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
cutting out.
like those two coming out, and like so.
Okay.
So you look at your limited time frame. You look at these 2 games which have
Yeah.
some, and even if I have to say from our vantage point, if you're not going to pour everything into it, like something like Overwatch looks a little bit more like pick up and play. I'm sure there's some advanced, but just to jump in around and play, it looks like Overwatch is going to be the one to beat, the one to play. It kind of felt like
Yeah.
Doom could have been that. In
Yeah.
that old Quake, it's just run, gun, shoot, blow up demons. You know, fun and
Yeah.
fantastic, but sounds like they're trying to make it a bit more gritty and realistic. So I'm not sure that's going to be it. Like
No.
it's such like in limited time frames, like with inability to learn mechanics and nuances of team based shooters. I mean, like these really speaks to a new father and like which one you could possibly get into.
I know, and like from my perspective,
Probably
Battleborn.
Doom.
Well, see, with Doom, I thought they would have a single player component. I could be wrong, but maybe that comes out later, or it's not part of the beta. But it should have a single player, and then you get good in the single player to go to multiplayer, right? There's no like training anymore. These games throw you into multiplayer with seasoned people. Sure, they kind of match up your teams, but you're running around and you can't experiment with the guns you get or power ups you get. I remember older games used to include bots, so you could experiment with bots and just get good at the game before you jump in head first, and then go on a multiplayer binge and you can't do anything. And then again, with that time as a dad, I want that time to be kind of fun and worthwhile and not jump into a match and get killed like instantly because I don't have the same power ups that this guy has earned because he's on level 50. I don't know.
And
That's my rant.
that's reminiscent of yeah, and, which was many ways disappointing for that way. Like the current rewards for certain levels, who's good now has access to this even better gun,
Right.
making him even more efficient at killing me. Who's like that? That seems so
Right.
aggressive. Or players who aren't going to even be able to dedicate a lot of time.
Right. And that's what they did with Doom. So again, level up, you get a new gun. I'm like, seriously, don't do these kind of games. I'm not, or you can buy all the weapons, right? Of course they'll have that. But you still there, Trev? Hello. Hello. I think we dropped out. I think from Colombia, Trevor is gone. Colombia. Come in, Colombia. Nope. So, welcome to the Jeff Show. This is New Dad Gaming. One's sick, one's in Colombia disconnected, and Gavin, I think, is still away from us, taking care of your kids. But I'm not sure if this will hit the tape because I'm not the one recording. But New Dad Gaming. My name's Jeff, and I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm gonna see if I can get Trevor's back.
So you know what sucks with multiplayer is that when one player lags and they cut out of a game all of a sudden, you just can't hear them or
Yeah.
see them, or that's the worst.
Or doing a podcast,
Yeah.
they cut out and stuff.
So about the shoddy internet connection I'm on, I will say one thing: the mobile network in Colombia is phenomenal
Yeah,
because
oh, that's good.
it's like the terrain lent itself more to wireless networks as opposed to wired. I mean, a place like Canada, you got big open fields you can just lay down wire. But Colombia's
Yeah.
not quite so easy. So as soon as like wireless came, they seem to really jump on it. So the wireless coverage in this country is incredible. So that's why I'm
Just doing the money symbol. Money, money, money.
yeah.
Sounds
See that
expensive.
the sacrifices I make for this show.
That's true.
So anyway, don't play multiplayer with people with terrible connections. Don't do podcasts with people with terrible connections either.
Sounds
So
like words to live by.
yeah, so speaking of Colombia and getting here, as I alluded to in the opening,
Right.
so we had a flight, the first time we've ever taken our son on a flight. Like, and I was just terrified. Like the thought
Right.
of it, of like you'd have to, man, if your kid goes rogue and it goes and just dives off a cliff and like there's no consoling him, and it's like it's a 6 hour flight. So
Oh,
for 6 hours, if he wasn't playing ball, like it was
right.
going to be miserable for everybody. And I'd feel bad for other people too. Like it's awful for me, sure,
Yes.
but like everyone else has to suffer along with me. It's like, well,
Well, yeah.
hope,
No one else
but I
signed up for this, right?
yeah, I think the only thing that makes it better now is like modern day airplanes like all have the videos. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, baby's crying, on go the headphones. Like there's that saving grace. But before I get into it, have you ever flown with your kids?
Yes, and my second son was 8 months at the time. I can go into
Wow.
my story too after you're done yours.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I would love to hear the comparison. So
Yeah.
the day before we fly, fever. Baby
Oh
comes down with fever,
no.
and I am looking at him like, you have got to be kidding me. You're gonna pull this. You know what I
Right.
mean? And just horror stories running through my head of sick baby, just inconsolable.
Yeah.
Oh God, how's this gonna
Yeah.
happen? And he wakes up the next day. We had to wake. By the way, we were waking up at like 4 in the morning. This is an early damn flight. So I'm waking my baby up, which feels, counterintuitive enough as it is. Wake him up, he is boiling. Super
Oh no.
fever. I'm just like, oh God. So I'm waking you up from
It's
your sleep
happening.
and you're fever, you're basically on fire. Like this is horrendous. So the good news is, and the beautiful silver lining is that he was at the point of sickness of being cuddly and sleepy,
Oh, perfect. There you
not
go.
sad and irritable. So on the way
Yeah.
to the airport and through security, he was kind of dopey from the being woken up, and otherwise was kind of pretty much in his usual just woke up good mood. So bam,
Good.
first
Good.
terror part taken care of. Second side note, actually, family lines in airports are the bomb. I can't.
Right?
We skipped everybody. I felt so guilty.
No, it's
I'm,
great. Just
and
do what we
with
can.
not being without a word of exaggeration, we saved at least an hour off the time, like getting through
Oh wow.
the security line, because it's like the family line and no one was in it. It was it was like
Nice.
100 people. It was so beautiful. Anyways, sick
What
kid.
crazy families up at 4 a.m. anyway? Come on.
Exactly. We're the only ones dumb enough. So sick baby, first phase, beautiful. Like he sleepy and dopey and get him through. So now we get
Right.
onto the plane and everything's still kind of going well, going well. Paul gives we give him a bottle, he goes to sleep. Kid sleeps for the
Nice.
first 2 hours of the flight. Couldn't believe it. It's just
Wow.
elation.
Luck?
Yeah, right? And then he wakes up and he's just had a wonderful nap, so he's in a pretty good mood. He had a little bit of Tylenol to bring down the fever, and so we give him some toys. We give him kind of like a little bit of extra food, so he's playing around, doing great. Falls asleep again. Falls asleep again for another hour and a half. He slept basically for 3.5 hours of the flight, and otherwise was in the post-sleep good mood. It was the
Wow.
I'm almost afraid of it because like the thought that like how bad my next flight is going to be because of how good this one was.
But
Like it
what
was
I'm
like
what I'm hearing is that everyone should go grab their kid and just drag them through the streets to get all the bacteria in them, right?
put them
Get
into
them
multiple
feverish.
daycares.
Yeah,
Have them
and then
spend
take them.
1 hour in a day, like in 8 different daycares,
There you
just to
go.
pick up everything. So see, but this is risky, man, because like it's either your kid you're gonna get cuddly, want to sleep sick baby, or you're
Yeah.
gonna get inconsolable disaster baby, which we lucked out. I don't recommend to get your kids sick on purpose for the flight, but
You had a
man, did it ever
miracle
work.
flight, man. Wow, you are so lucky.
It was like I said, I'm worried about it now. Like I'm worried that I've used up all my good flight karma on the way down here, and then the flight back is going to be just an absolute nightmare. So man, I'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
man, get your
Uh,
yeah. If you're a gambling man, like get your kids super sick and put them on leave super early. So,
well,
so,
see,
so
Mike,
how about your experience there, Jeff?
my experience was a little different. So at the time, I had an 8 month old and I guess a 4 year old at the time, almost four, or four, if my math's right. I don't know. I have to double check. Anyway, so I'm expecting my eldest to do fine, right? So in the lineups, again, the family line, great, because you have the stroller and all the bags. I guess they feel bad for you, whatever. So you get through. That part was fine. In the waiting area, I thought my youngest, 8 months, is going to be like, just get me out of here, bananas, crying. He was fine, great, wicked.
Hmm.
My my, my oldest decided to look at the planes. Oh, look at how big and giant these things are. Awesome. Turns around for no reason. He just he wants to go now, and I'm like, no, you have to wait. We've got another hour of waiting. We got here early because we have to get in line and wait. He is on the floor,
Oh,
screaming, pounding on the carpet. Everyone's looking at us. I'm like, great. The one kid I didn't expect to do that because he would be
this
so
is
interested to ask questions. He was just screaming like chaos in the waiting area. So people are just, you know how they give you like that side eye, like they're like, oh god, like
oh
I'm getting
yeah.
on a flight with these people now. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, they're sitting there praying
So
like, please, please not my flight, please not my flight, please not my flight.
yeah, please don't be in my row. Please don't be behind me. So anyway, we get on the flight. My oldest calms down, which is perfect because they have those in-flight movies. He just watches the movie great. Now my 8 month old uh, doesn't do so well, and we're going to like Cuba or something. So it's like a
It's,
3 hour flight, not
it's
your
like,
six
did you
hour.
witness the tag? Like, did they slap hands at some point? Like, all right, your turn.
Like they transferred it, right? Like they're like, okay, now it's your turn. Okay,
Yeah.
I messed them up. I did my part. Now it's your turn. So my 8 month old did not do well. So he was crying the entire way, and my wife was trying to feed him and just calm him down. And it just didn't end well. My job was to get up and like apologize to all the people around. So I'm going to like everybody in like audible distances, like, okay, can you hear sorry, that's my kid. I didn't, I'm sorry. And they're
I swear we're good
like,
parents. I swear.
lucky enough, most of the people that were on the flight were kind of going to the same resort, which is like a family resort. So everyone's like, "Oh no,
Oh,
don't worry, I've been there. Good luck to you, Godspeed." Like, so it was more like well wishes, and we were going with friends, and we would like trade off kids just so that we had an earful, and we were like, can you please just take him just to the back for a little bit. So it wasn't the best experience, and that was like 2.5 hours, 3 hours of just hell, and it probably felt like 6 hours at that time, but it was not good. So
Just
playing karma can come back on you for sure.
see that. Oh man, see, that's what I just picture. That was the nightmare, and
But
that's what I half see for being the flight back. I don't know.
you know
Just it's weird
but
to be
what
in this.
doesn't kill you
It's
stronger, right?
I guess it's just weird to be in this position now because like I was always I always had sympathy for people when their kids cry because it's like you know what, babies cry. It's just how it goes
Yes.
sometimes. You know they're small, they don't get it. Like that's just how
Still
it goes.
annoying, but yeah.
So I never, yeah, so I never hated the parents. It's more just like, oh, it's too bad, poor kid, and I had to put on my
Yeah.
headphones. But like,
Yeah.
man, like being in this spot now, like it's so stressful. Like I don't want to burden people, and
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with the crying baby for 6 hours in a can in the sky that I can't do anything about. Can't take him for a walk. Like I
No,
can't
no.
leave.
And that's what happens when they're a little bit older too. They get fidgety. So they can only watch a movie for like 90 minutes, and then they want to like run up and down the aisles.
Oh
So
God.
with that, my the little trip we took was to the washroom, which was totally neat because there's no water in the toilet and all this other stuff. That was the interesting science experiment that he got to partake in. But yeah, man, like you are stuck, and you really start to meet people. It's just you get to know them and apologize and kind of go into their lives a little bit. You become friends.
Just pass it around. See, my problem is too, like at his age, like he still hasn't clicked on the TV yet. Like he doesn't really
Yeah,
watch. He doesn't zone out yet to shows, so that like that's not an option. There's no
yeah,
room. Again, like man, we'll see. See, as soon as he can play video games, I'll get him like a
yeah.
DS, and I'll
See,
get a
yeah.
DS. And, like we'll link play or something like that. And just have ourselves a nice little game session in the sky. But man, until that point,
That's an awesome name for it. I like it. Game
actually,
session.
she's a really lousy, selfish thought as I was flying too. Is that usually I find flights to be a pretty good time to like play like some mobile games, like either on the phone or on
Yeah.
my NVIDIA tablet that I have. Just could do, but this entire flight I'm on call, like I'm on duty. So
Yeah.
there's no personal entertainment that way. So some ways like
No, I was just gonna say on my flight they were screening the Superman movie, the new Superman movie at that time, and
mhm.
it wasn't out on DVD yet, and it was like the first into the flights, I guess, for some reason. And I was like, I really want to watch this, but I got to deal with my kids. But I really want to watch it. Oh, so I
It's a
saw parts
baby.
of it, which sucked, just because
Oh
I
yeah,
saw the ending. I was like, I'm not gonna bother.
you're like,
Still haven't seen it.
how'd this guy get here? What is
I know. I just gave up.
Oh yeah, yes, that's the flight story. We'll see. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on the return back. But God, yeah,
Good luck to you, man.
one down, one to go. So far, wonderful.
6 hours though. 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours. Man, if just I'm telling you, if he would just play a video game, it would all be better.
I think you should, if it does happen, just a little clip. Just record a little clip. Uh, this is my life in a plane with
This
my
is
son right now.
he'll just like record that and like hold it against him in future. Like
Yeah,
this is what you did to me. This is what you did to a whole flight of people. I want you to
both
remember
ways.
this. Both
Don't mention the
ways.
other. Don't
Oh,
mention the good way.
yeah. Yeah, with that, I think that makes for a pretty good cut this week.
Yeah,
The trying to think about like it almost feels like now after our ones we should be setting like goals and updates per week from a dad perspective after our
it
one
makes
episode where we had
sense,
the
right? We need to make goals. Just keep us going.
yeah, well, I would be happy to see if I could beat that finally beat Street Fighter 3 Alpha arcade mode, which I cannot do
I think
yet
you should. There you go. That's a good goal.
because it's like I'm telling it
Places
is
you.
it is educational, honestly. Like as far as like just like the fundamentals of blocking and range, reach, like some they call footsies and Street Fighter, which yeah, and all the moves and everything else. So
Wow.
yeah, if I can somehow manage to, it'll feel like I've taken a step in the right direction in my Street Fighter journey. Should I make that happen?
I think,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I think you should. And while you're in Colombia, I think you should. There's got to be like a gray market. You can kind of get some games. Maybe you could just pick
Uh,
up like a whole bunch, like 50 for.
probably find a cracked DS for super cheap.
Oh,
Get
see?
those cards where there's like, although I obviously don't condone it, and I've never done such illegal
No, no, of
activity.
course not.
Statement of
Nope, nope.
statement of clearance. That is curious, actually. Yeah, I will maybe poke around a bit. I'm curious if they have a gray market for video games down here. I wonder if it's
Tap into the
translated.
network. Yeah, oh,
Practice,
that's the other thing. Oh,
practice my
crap.
Spanish. We went. Geez, we went to a theater, and we chose a somewhat kids movie. I think it was Night at the Museum,
Okay,
because
yeah.
usually they don't. They'll always have. I think
Subtitles or whatever?
yeah, it's subtitles. They tended to. Yeah, there's always subtitles. They never tended to dub them.
Right,
Right?
right, yeah.
Like classically. Just apparently that's how it worked down here. Funny story, they totally dubbed it and had no subtitles. So I'm sitting there watching
That's
Night at
amazing.
the Museum, like so Spanish Ben Stiller
Right.
jumping around, interacting with Robin Williams, saying something. I don't know. It's all in Spanish. They sounded very robust. And the best part is like, I don't think I missed that much. I got most of the
Probably
plot.
not.
Well, clearly he started a job here and some magic stuff is happening. Okay, well here's the bad guys. They look terrible. I
I get
left with a pretty good sense of how that movie went down without hearing a single word of English.
I could actually see Ben Stiller and Robin Williams trying to do a Spanish accent just by themselves. Maybe not. You know what I mean? Just maybe it
It's always
doesn't
like
make sense, but
I'll say
attempt it.
most dubs. For some reason, it's always much deeper. I don't know
Oh,
why they think. I don't know if they just figure that makes them sound more manly or like it'll adhere to the characters, but they're always lower voiced fellas. Anyways, but yeah, gray market. You got any gaming goals
nice.
for the week?
Oh God, I don't know. I want to get back into Witcher, but we've been talking about that for a while. Maybe see if Doom 3 beta or the Doom beta. I keep calling it Doom 3.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
you should give that a couple more
I
shots
want
because
to
maybe there's a nugget in there somewhere. Like
I
maybe
want to
it's
give it a fair shake, right? And
yeah.
it's over on Monday, so maybe the weekend will be devoted to kind of getting into that and just see where the chips lie. Or
I would be
after.
curious. Like, oh, I don't if I can almost challenge you.
Uh-oh.
I think the Battleborn beta is free, and
Yeah, I think so.
I would be curious for you to give that a shot.
Okay.
For you to give that a
Deal.
couple throws. It's like so it's a MOBA first person shooter
Yeah.
done up in the Borderlands style. I'd be curious to see your impressions of it compared to mine.
Okay.
From
Yeah, I'll do that.
yeah,
It's not a
see.
problem.
All right,
Okay. We
goals.
got goals. I like that goals.
Dad goals set. Feels like at some point it should include kids, but we'll get there.
Yeah, whatever.
They do
Good.
fine.
Yeah.
All
Separate
right.
goals.
Everybody, thanks for listening once again to the podcast. We do this weekly. If you have any show notes, ideas, or questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or at our website, newdadgaming.com. Subscribe to wherever fine podcasts are served. And as always, my name is Trevor, and I have a 10-month-old.
My name's Jeff. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I think we've gone international, Trevor. I think this is an
That's right.
international broadcast.
Over from South America across the airwaves all the way up to cold Canada. Actually, make me feel better. How cold is it in Canada right now?
It is not that cold. It's 9 degrees.
Damn it! All that flight for nothing.
I know.
Maybe next time.
All right. Yeah.
All right, man.
See ya.
Have a great week.
See ya.
Still live?